Mondays with Mickey. My name is Mike Knigge and I am your host. This is July 20th, 2015. And this week we're going to talk about planning a trip to Walt Disney World, whether you're doing it yourself or going through a Disney Travel professional. We'll talk about the processes and then compare the differences between doing it yourself and then having somebody do it for you. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about some news. This week had tons of possible subjects. I decided to stay with the positive subjects, and that's not all of them by any means, and it's in no particular order. But we are going to go ahead and get started with one that's not really a major piece of news, but it's one that I'm happy about. And it's that this is the 1 month anniversary of Mondays with Mickey. Congratulations! You survived looking at my mug for 1 month. Congratulations, and thank you. I hope you guys are enjoying the show thus far. If you have comments, concerns, questions, if you just want to say, hey, thank you, I'm really enjoying, leave some comments below or shoot me a message. I'd love to hear from you. The show is just as much for you guys as much as I'm enjoying filming it. So if you guys are liking it, let me know. If you're not liking something, let me know too. I will certainly try to make changes. As a matter of fact, in this episode, I'm actually working on one right now. Hopefully, I will get through it. We'll see. But that said, onto a real piece of news. Pluto! Yes, that's right. The little planet that no one knows whether it's really a planet or not, because no one can decide permanently whether it is or not, has had some news come up this past week. Actual new crystal clear images have finally come through from the little planet. And interestingly enough, on the southern hemisphere of that planet, kind of pointing towards the right-hand side of the image, you will see an interesting shaped landmass. Now, many of you may have seen this on Facebook. I know I've certainly shared and liked tons of these images that people are noticing. But interestingly enough, there is a landmass in the southern hemisphere that happens to be shaped like Pluto the dog. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, there is a Pluto on Pluto. So, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction, because I'm certain that the Disney executives have seen these images, because they're everywhere. They're everywhere more than the song Frozen, let's put it that way. They are everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and predict that the Disney executives are going, when we start colonizing the solar system, when we start exploring outside the galaxy and people start going to other planets, I guarantee you they're looking going, we're going to put a Disney resort maybe on the collar of Pluto himself on Pluto. It makes perfect sense. The land is shaped like a Disney character. It's perfect. The planet is named like a Disney character. It's perfect. Now granted, Pluto didn't get the name from Pluto the dog. In fact, the dog and the planet probably got the name from the same place. But the symmetry is there. So guaranteed, we probably won't be in our lifetime, sadly. But I know they gotta be thinking about it. It's coming. So mark my words, many generations from now, somebody who might actually be watching this, maybe it's a historical archive, I don't know. It's coming. But onto a real piece of news, and this is a larger piece of news. So I'm going to be looking down at my notes a little bit. I'm sorry if I'm not looking at the screen perfectly the whole time. But there's a lot to go through on this piece of news, and I don't want to miss anything. So, starting off, Shanghai Disneyland, or Disneyland Shanghai, however you're looking at it. New details have been released. There was a press conference with Bob Iger. I apologize, Bob Iger. There was a press conference where he showed models of the upcoming Disneyland park, which is well under construction at this point. And he talked about some of the new lands and the hotels. So I'm going to go ahead and relay some of this information to you because honestly, this is going to be exciting. I really wish it was more accessible to the general public here in the States, but we can still go. If you have the means, I would highly recommend when this park opens, it's definitely going to be worth checking out. So starting off, Bob Iger was talking about the castle. It is going to be the tallest and overall largest castle of any Disneyland park, or Disney park I should say, period. It is going to be the largest centerpiece landmark of any Disney park throughout the world. It is looking amazing. There are going to be 2 hotels attached to this park. There's going to be a Disneyland hotel for Disneyland Shanghai, as well as a Toy Story themed hotel. There'll be 6 lands. Starting off with Fantasyland, I'm going to talk about each land and I'm going to talk about some of the rides that are in each land. just to give you a heads up. Obviously, there's going to be more stuff coming after this, but these are kind of the highlight points that he pointed out. So in Fantasyland, there's going to be a storybook castle, a Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. There's going to be a ride-through of the Disney stories called Voyage to the Crystal Grotto. It looked really interesting. Of course, you're going to have Peter Pan, Winnie the Pooh ride, and Alice in Wonderland ride. There's going to be Treasure Cove, which is going to be the first ever pirate-themed land in a Disney park. So something beyond just Pirates of the Caribbean. Of course, Pirates of the Caribbean is going to be there, but this is going to be a new version. It's going to be called Battle for the Sunken Treasure. Pirates of the Caribbean Battle for the Sunken Treasure. The pictures looked awesome. There's going to be a pirate ship, in a man-made lake there in Treasure Cove, because it's supposed to be shaped like a cove. Kids are going to be able to go on board. Everybody, not just kids, are going to be able to go on board, explore. There'll be interactive elements. There's going to be a canoe ride. I don't have a lot of details on that, but it looked interesting. There's also going to be a new restaurant called Barbossa's Bounty. So look for that. That should be interesting. Adventure Island, or Adventure Isle, is coming. There'll be a mountain that will tower over everything. Rides like a new version of Soarin', which is going to be called Soarin' Horizons. This is actually scheduled to come to the States by 2017. So you're probably looking at Disneyland and Disney World to have updated versions, updated videos for their current rides. I don't believe they're making a separate Soarin'. I think they're just going to update the old one. But this park is going to go ahead and launch with the new version. So that should be really interesting. There'll be a Roaring Rapids ride, which is going to be a raft ride through a forbidden realm with a monster that you're going to deal with. Kind of like a raft ride version of Everest, maybe. That looks interesting. There'll be Camp Discovery, which will give people an opportunity to kind of go through nature and explore and learn. There will be Tomorrowland, of course. That's one of the next lands. In this Tomorrowland, there is going to be a new ride, a Tron Light Cycle ride. Now, I've seen little animations showing what the idea of this ride is going to be. Essentially, it's going to be a roller coaster, and each person's going to be on their own little light cycle. Now, it's all going to be connected. You're not going to be riding the light cycle on your own. But you're going to travel through a digital environment. It's going to be a full-out roller coaster, but you're going to be kind of surrounded by digital screens. It'll be pitch black, but it'll look as to you as you're going through this like you're going through the world of Tron, through a digital world. So that's really looking interesting. I hope Disney decides that they want to bring that to Disney World, Disneyland, but only time will tell on that. There will be this weird color-changing canopy thing over by that Tron ride that seems to be like a centerpiece for this new Tomorrowland. Now, I know I'm describing things. I know you guys are probably going, well, it's kind of hard to picture. I am going to post some pictures in this video after I'm done talking about this park. So that way you can kind of get an idea of some of the stuff I was seeing. I obviously don't own these pictures. This is stuff that Disney's released so that people can get an idea of what's coming. So I'm going to put them in a little slideshow in the middle of this right after we get to the news so you guys can kind of check that out. Mickey Avenue, which is going to be their version of Main Street USA. It's going to be themed to Mickey and the Gang. It's going to be the first Main Street where they've really done this. Obviously, we've talked about the history and the tradition with Walt having a Main Street USA being that centerpiece for the park leading up to the castles. This park, being it's in China, they decided to take a different direction. It's still going to be a Main Street, but it's going to be themed specifically on Mickey and the Gang, as opposed to having very American influences, because they want this to appeal to the crowds in China. Obviously, there'll be plenty of tourists coming to check it out, but this is really meant for the people of China, so they want to make sure that it's themed in a way that they'll really appreciate it. There'll be Gardens of Imagination. Excuse me. Gardens of Imagination. This looks really interesting. There's going to be 7 whimsical gardens with it. It's also going to have rides like the Dumbo ride. The Fantasia Carousel ride will be in these Gardens of Imagination. There'll be stage shows. This is going to be really centralized right around that hub area. So the stage shows in front of the castle will be part of these gardens. Mickey's Storybook Express Parade, which is going to go through this area, is also going to be on the largest parade route out of any Disney park, period. Now, when you get a chance to see the map of this park, you'll see what I'm talking about. This park is gigantic, and it's going to be the longest parade route ever that they've ever done. So, Mickey's Storybook Express train parade thing will be going through there. I can't wait to see what they're doing with that. There'll be a Ignite the Dream nighttime show for the closing of the park. So lots of stuff coming. This park was broken ground. They broke ground on this park in 2011. It's scheduled to be finished this upcoming spring in 2016. So, with that said, it should be amazing to check out, guys. I would highly recommend, if it's in your means, once this park opens, to go take a look at it. And here in just a second, as soon as I finish up the news, you guys will get an opportunity to look at some of the images that have been released of what this park's going to look like. You're going to see some concept art. You're going to see some actual pictures of the construction. You'll also see some of the digital renderings that they've come up with. Final piece of news, however, before I get into that. To me, this is probably the most important piece of news for this week, and it's that this week, on July 17th, marked the 60th anniversary of the Disneyland Park. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand the importance of this moment. This is the first park. This is what really made everything possible. This is where Walt walked. So on July 17th, 1955, Walt Disney opened Disneyland. Because of that, you have Walt Disney World. You have Disneyland Shanghai. You have Disneyland Tokyo, Tokyo Disney Sea, Disneyland Paris. All these parks, Aulani, out in Hawaii, your Adventures by Disney, your Disney beach resorts, all of these things exist because Disneyland was a success. Because the people of this country realized that the magic could exist in a place. And Walt made it happen. So this is a very important piece of history. It's the 60th anniversary, or 60th birthday. For the 60th birthday, they did a rededication ceremony. The president of Disneyland was there, hosting it essentially, talking about the past 60 years. There were many people who were involved with Disneyland in the beginning that came back to enjoy this moment. Several of them were like Mouseketeers, Imagineers, cast members, so on. One fantastic opportunity for Disney history buffs was there. Richard Sherman of the Sherman Brothers was there on hand for these ceremonies. He actually played a song. He wanted to take a moment to thank Walt. You know, he was very gracious about it. You know, of course, he's getting up there in years, so he was a little shaky talking, but he wanted to take a moment to thank Walt. And his way of thanking Walt was through what made him and his brother such assets to Disney, and that's through their music. Now, Walt was a big fan of one of Richard and Bob's songs. Particularly, this song was from Mary Poppins, and it was Tuppence, talking about, you know, feeding the birds and so on. And Richard took a moment to go through and talk about how Walt would call him into his office and just say, "Play it for me, Richard. Play it for me." And it got to a point Richard knew exactly what he was talking about. He always put Walt in a good mood. He always put perspective on things for him. So, as a thank you to Walt for everything that he did and for everything he's given our lives, he wanted to play it one more time. A young lady from Broadway sang the song along with him. But that was his way, his personal talent, how he can give back and thank. And it was very, very emotional thing to watch. I would highly recommend. I don't have video footage of it. I've seen video footage. I don't own it, so I can't play it. But I would highly suggest going on YouTube and looking up the Disneyland rededication or Disneyland 60th birthday. I'm sure you'll find at least a few videos of that ceremony. It was very cute. It's not very long, but it ended up, they sang their song, and then they brought all the Disney characters out for a quick singing of Happy Birthday for Disneyland. It's something that they apparently do every year. But this year, being the Diamond Celebration, it was kind of special. So, there's all the news. I hope you guys are still awake. If not, wake up! I'm about to break off for a second. I want you guys to take a moment and look at this small slideshow. It's only like 15 pictures. It's not very long. But this way you can get an idea of what Disneyland Shanghai is going to look like this upcoming year. Hope you guys enjoy, and we'll see you guys in just a second. And welcome back to Mondays with Mickey. I hope you enjoyed those images. Like I said, there was only about 15 or so. But I hope it gave you just kind of a glimpse as to what is coming for Disneyland Shanghai. If you're interested, I would highly recommend going on Google and just typing in Disneyland Shanghai, or going into YouTube, type in Disneyland Shanghai. And you'll get tons of results of information, videos on, the press conferences, pictures, typed up information, etc. So that way you can get a more clear and detailed image of what this resort is going to be. It's going to be amazing. And like I said earlier, if you have the means, definitely next year start looking into possibly taking a trip out there, because it is going to be amazing. So, with that said, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. And this episode is booking a trip to Walt Disney World. Do it yourself or go through a travel agent. So before we get fully started, let me dispel a couple of quick myths. One of the myths is that booking through a travel agent costs you more money. Well, that's not necessarily true. Now, there are some agencies out there that do book a fee, but in general, they don't. The reality is when we book your trip, we get a commission based off of that trip. You don't pay us a dime. Disney pays us that dime. And here's the interesting thing. Say I plan out a trip for you. You're going for a week, staying at All-Star Movies, dining plan, park hopper, yada yada yada. And you book with me. Then you turn around and you go online yourself. Type in the exact same trip you booked with me. It's going to be the exact same price. Disney does not increase your price, your trip, to cover my commission. Disney simply pays me a commission to help book your trip. So, in general, that myth is not true. You will not pay extra to go through a travel agent. And I would definitely take your time and research the travel agent you're possibly looking for if you go that road, and make sure that they're not charging you extra. Make sure they're an earmarked agency, an agency that Disney has recognized as doing it the right way. Doing it the way I'm talking about, as a matter of fact. Take your time, do your research. Regardless of whether you do it yourself or you go through a travel agent, do your research. Research, more research, and oh yeah, more research. It's important. Know what you're doing and plan ahead, so that way you're not getting burned. So that's the first myth that I was going to address. It does not cost more. It should not cost more to go through a travel agent. The other myth is on the flip side of the coin with the travel agent. The theory and the belief that travel agents can access these hidden deals that no one can get a hold of because we have the mystical power of keys. No, it doesn't exist. Okay? We can offer you the exact same thing you can find on your own. The difference is we're doing the work for you. Okay? We're taking the stress off your shoulders. No, we do not have this mystical ball that can create special deals that only travel agents have access to. No, it's not an option. I wish it was an option because my butt would be freaking living at Disney World, but it's not. Okay? We can find the same deals as you. The reason you would go through a travel agent rather than doing it yourself is simply because it takes the work off your shoulders. And I'll get more into that in just a minute. So let's back off to do it yourself. Okay, like I was saying, research, more research. Okay? You can look online through Google, you can go through Walt Disney World's website. What I did, this is how I actually got into it. In fact, I'll give you a little history report here. Is several years back, I was planning my family's first trip. I'd been there before, but this was my family's first trip to Walt Disney World. And I was doing it myself. This is how I got into it. I had a lot of fun planning. Did tons and hours of research. My wife jumped in, helped me. Hours of research between the two of us. Comparing, contrasting trips, costs, looking at times of year that it's the best time of year to go, your peak and your cost seasons and things of that nature. We spent a lot of time reading and learning so we could make the best trip possible for our family. So I got into that. I planned the trip. I love having my hands in control of everything. I guess I'm a little bit of a control freak when it comes to our trips because I want to know everything's right and I will stress everything until it's done. So we got into it, loved it. Fast forward a few years to this past year, I started planning a huge group trip. Again, do it myself. I took control of this trip for everybody. 20 people we're talking. So I planned this huge trip, and I absolutely loved getting my hands dirty and getting into the ground and doing it, and seeing the faces of the people that I was helping go, and realized, wow, this is amazing, and that's why I went to be a travel agent. So I can do it myself for everybody. That's the perk to do it yourself. You have control. You have your hands in it. You're doing it. If you go through a travel agent, you take that stress off of you. Your vacation is an actual vacation. You hand it to somebody and say, look, this is what I want to do. How can we do it? And that person will come back with you. That travel agent will come back with you and say, all right, here's your options. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, you can add a little bit and get this and this. Or if you want to save a little money, maybe we can do this and this. They give you options, and you just choose, and they make it happen for you. For me, I was a do-it-yourselfer, and that's why I got into being a travel agent, or as 3D Travel, the company I'm working with, calls me a travel specialist. I specialize in Walt Disney World at this time. It's what I like to do. So, research. If you're going to do it by yourself, research some more. Get online, check out the website. You can compare and contrast trips. Also, get online, you can order the vacation planning DVD. They send you can do, I suggest you only do it once a year because they do a new video every year. Some years it only changes slightly a little bit from year to year, but every year it's different. And some years they do a full revamp because they need to update it big time. My family orders one every year. We don't necessarily go to Disney every year, but we order one every year because we look forward to it. It's exciting. And they give you hints on things that are coming up. They talk about all the parks, they talk about all the hotels, they talk about the dining plan, and it's usually the updated information, so that way for that year, if you're booking for that year, you know what's going on. And they're just kind of fun to get a video from Disney to look at. So I would highly recommend get on the website or call the Disney phone number. You can get that from online, go to waltdisneyworld.com. I believe it's 1-800-409-WDisney. So take your time, go check that out. Another thing that but to heads up, whether you're booking online, booking over the phone, whether you're booking with the travel agent, there is a $200 deposit per room. So be prepared. Go ahead and look. Check around, get details, find the best deal. But remember, when it comes time to book, you have to have $200 down. Okay, that just goes $200 per room. So if you're booking a large party, it's going to be multiple rooms. Keep that in mind. It's $200 per room, not per reservation. So, With that said, say you've put down your money, you've booked your trip. Now, dates are extremely important. Disney is insane about dates. So much so that once you've booked your trip, they send out this cool little booklet that gives you all the details about your resort and trip coming up, and it has this magnetic card that is attached to the back of this booklet. So you can put it up on your refrigerator and look at it. It has all the important dates with your trip. It has the date from when you can book your fast passes. It has the date when you start booking dining. It has the date when you have to be paid off. It has the date when you go on your trip. It has the date when your magic bands have to be finalized. It has all the important dates. And they send this to you because Disney and dates go hand in hand. They are intertwined at every level of Disney. If Disney gives you a date, it's firm. It has to be done by that date. There's no rule flexibility. So remember these important dates as they come up and be ready for each one of them. Okay? This is where do-it-yourself becomes difficult, but for those who are all about having their hands in everything and having control of everything and making sure it's done the way they expect it to be done, the way they want it to be done, it's just a necessary evil. So, for example, you booked your trip. Now you say you've come up on the date for your dining reservations. Okay, 180 days out. It's time to book your dining. Say you want to Be Our Guest. Well, you need to be available. The second it becomes available in the system, you need to be ready to book it. Because Be Our Guest every single day books out, completely sells out essentially, of all the advanced dining reservations possible within a day. Okay? So if you want dinner, that's the hottest ticket in Disney World right now. It's very difficult to get. You have to be up early in the morning the second it becomes available in the system to try to book it. You can try to do it online, or you could try to wait until the phone lines open up at Walt Disney World to do it. I'd recommend trying to do it online. You can get in sooner. But it's a commitment. You have to be prepared to do that. Same thing with your fast passes. Now, it's a little more flexible with fast passes because it's not as much of a big deal as dining reservations. But again, the second you're able to do it, be there. Be ready to do that. When Walt Disney World says it has to be paid off by a certain date, it has to be paid off by a certain date, or they're going to cancel it. Plain and simple, cut and dry. There is no gray area with it. You're either ready or you're not. Okay? It's not that they don't care, but they have to be prepared. If you're not capable of taking that reservation, they're going to open that door for somebody else who will. So, if it says be paid off by a certain date, you need to be paid off by a certain date. Now, the farther out you book, the more time you have to pay it off. Okay? You don't necessarily have to pay it all at one time. You can pay it in payments. The way we do it typically when we book these trips is we book right as taxes come out. And we just pay the whole thing off right then and then. This year we did it slightly different. We paid most of it off because we were anticipating the free dining and we weren't sure exactly how it was going to go. So I paid just enough where I was just under the wire for the dining plan. So I had a couple $100 left to pay at the end, which we did. Another piece of great news. Paid that off. It's fantastic. That said, you've got time. If you book it out far in advance, you've got time to pay it off. So, again, dates are extremely important. Now, here's the fun part. Another fun part. If you're doing it yourself, you need to be checking back once a month. Reprice out your trip every month. You're probably going, why? I got a great deal. It's booked. I've paid for it. It's done. Why would I want to? Well, here's why you would want to. Disney will release occasionally price drops, special deals, things that you wouldn't expect. They do it randomly, and sometimes it's for a limited time only. So if you're checking back regularly, you might find that your trip mystically got cheaper. And all you gotta do is call them up and say, hey look, I booked it for this price. I'm now seeing this price. I'd like to get the cheaper price. And you get the cheaper price. Or maybe they offer something special. Maybe they're going to offer a free memory maker for the time frame you're going. No brainer. It's a little extra work. You have to remind yourself to do it every month, but do it. You can get a special deal that you wouldn't have expected to get if you keep your eyes open and you go in and check every month. Alright? So, that's just some basic tips. Now, there's tons of other tips out there. I'm not going to give away the whole cow here. If you want to do it yourself, that's part of the fun of do it yourself. Go in and do the research. I'm going to tell you how to go there. I'm going to lead you to water, but you got to drink. So, if you're going to do it yourself, do your research. That's the first, most important piece of advice. Take your time, plan it out. What we've done for this trip is we planned everything in advance. We knew a couple weeks before we were going to have an important date. We sat down as a family and hammered out what we wanted. We hammered out our dining reservations. We hammered out our most important fast passes. And the day of, we hopped on the computer, my wife and I, and we made sure these things happened. We're do-it-yourselfers. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you get it. You don't necessarily need to have everything handed to you. You'll find the information. But do the research, take your time to make that happen. So let's flip side of this coin and go into the travel professional or Disney travel specialist. Whatever the term is for the agency you're looking at. Myself, again, I work with 3D Travel Agency. Well, 3D Travel Company. And I am a travel specialist for them with Disney World. Soon I'm hoping to get Disneyland and Alani and Cruise Line and all that in there. But right now I'm primarily focused on Walt Disney World. And this is going to be why you would go with us as opposed to going with do-it-yourself. Both are good. Both are great options. The main reason you would go with a travel agent is, again, to take the stress off your shoulders. We're going to do everything I just talked about with do-it-yourself for you. So you don't have to stress it. That is the main reason. We do all that, and then we do more. Okay? We will constantly check for those discounts for you. We will be the ones that you come to when you have questions, rather than having to research. Say you're trying to figure out, well, how am I going to get to the Polynesian for my breakfast with Stitch, but I'm staying at All-Star Movies. How am I supposed to get there? Well, we'll tell you where to take the bus, and we'll tell you where you would get on the monorail so you can get over to the Polynesian, because they don't run buses from resort to resort. Not directly. So you would come to us and we'd just tell you, this is how you do it. And we'd even write it down however we needed to do to make sure you knew it. We'd make it happen. We would sit down with you and we would go over if you needed help with the dining reservations. Okay, this is what you want? Okay. You want, be our guest at nighttime when you're at Magic Kingdom on this day. Alright. Don't know exactly what time I'll be able to get you, but I'll get you in. And we will be up at the butt crack of dawn. We will be on that phone. And we will make it happen for you. If for some reason somebody gets to it before we do, you better believe we will be on that computer every day, on that phone every day, until somebody cancels and we get you in. If you don't get in, it's not because somebody didn't put in the hours. It's going to be because that for some reason the trip you're going on, everyone and their uncle went. No one canceled. We will be on it every day to get that thing taken care of for you. Alright? We will be on it every week, every month, checking for better discounts to get you a better deal. We may not necessarily get you the best price immediately, but I promise you, before your trip happens, the price will come down. We will get you where you need to be. As anything we can do, we will do it within reason. Now we have to be honest. We have to be fair. We're not going to do anything underhanded. But within the system, we will work within the system to get you the best deal you possibly can get. All right. Some might say, well, that's going to hurt your commission. Maybe. But you know what? I'd rather my commission go a little low on this trip because I got you a great deal and your family had an amazing time. And then have you tell your friends, hey, this guy got me a great deal. And your friends come. And I get them amazing deals. They tell their friends. I get them amazing deals. Because I might lose a little on this commission, but the long-term goal, if you're thinking business-wise, the long-term far outweighs the short-term. Okay, we're here for you guys. So we're going to double check on prices for your hotel trips, your whole vacation. We're going to double check on dining reservations to make sure you get that. We'll help you with your fast passes to get that set up. We'll help you with your magic bands, walk you through that process. We'll be there to help you with trip insurance if you want to go down the trip insurance road. We're also problem solvers. Even while you're on the trip, once the trip's begun, if you call, say, look, we didn't get the right room, this is messed up, we will make the phone calls to get it fixed for you. We are with you every step of the way. We are the ones planning your trip. We are the ones managing it. We are the ones making certain that you get what you've paid for. So you don't have to stress. The whole point is this is supposed to be a vacation. It's supposed to be a break, an opportunity to blow off that steam from work that you've been building up for however many years. It's an opportunity for you guys to be a family, or you just be with your friends and just let loose and be yourselves and enjoy your Disney side. We're here to take the business aspect off your shoulders and let you just be you and let you just enjoy your trip. That's what the whole point to going through a travel agent is. Okay? Like I said earlier, even if you're going to go with the travel agent, as opposed to do it yourself, do your homework. Look to see if they're an earmarked agency. Usually there'll be a Disney logo saying that they're an authorized vacation planner somewhere on their website. That identifies them as an earmarked agency, an agency that Disney has recognized as being at the level of Disney, doing it right. That's Disney saying that these people are honorable. You can trust them. They deserve the respect of Walt Disney himself, essentially. So look for that. If you're going to go through a travel agent, definitely look for that. You can also, I hate to send you that direction because I'm a travel agent, of course, but you can also just go call them up. Disney has their own travel agents, the Disney Travel Company. When you call Disney to book a trip, that's who you're talking to. They are travel agents, but they're more of a call center type environment. You won't get the one-on-one experience you will with a travel agent, but you'll get similar information and similar help. They just won't be the ones hunting down your dining reservations for you. They'll help you manage it, but they won't. They're not going to be the ones that are going to be on the phone for hours. When I say on the phone for hours, I'm referencing when Disney released free dining this year. There were agents, particularly with 3D Travel, that were on the phone for 4 to 8 hours on hold with Disney, trying to get their clients' reservations switched over to the free dining because their clients happen to be going during that time frame. Like I said, we see when these discounts are coming out, we do what we can to make sure that they get applied to our clients' accounts. So some of our agents were on the phone for hours and hours on end on hold with Disney Travel, trying to make sure this happened for them because we want to make certain that they get the best deal possible. And that's what we're here to do. If it wasn't us and you were doing it yourself, you'd be on the phone for hours and hours, or you would have given up and may have missed out on the opportunity. So do your research. Make sure you get a reputable agency, one that's been earmarked by Disney, so that way you know you're being taken care of. I'd love to have you over if you want to talk to me or any other member of 3D Travel Company. Every one of these agents are amazing. Our owner, as a matter of fact, she's on the advisory, currently this year, is on the advisory council for Disney. So these are really, really qualified, intelligent people who know their business well. If I don't have the answers for you, I have resources that are amazing I can go to and get that information for you. Generally, I'll have it, but if not, I have them to go to. So I highly recommend, I'm trying not to cheerlead for my own agency, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Forgive me. It'll be the only time I really cheerlead. But I highly recommend 3D Travel Company. But should you decide to go with another travel company, I fully understand. Go ahead and have fun with it. Just please do me the favor. Do your research. Make sure they're a reputable company. Make sure they're not charging you on top of the commission that they're receiving for your trips. So take your time, regardless, whether you do it yourself or them, research. I should have named this episode Research because I keep saying the word research. It's all over this episode. If you still like the word after this episode's over, there might be something wrong with you. I'm just saying. It's important. You need to know, you need to do your homework. Haha, different word. You need to do your homework and just make sure you've got the right people. So if you're going through a travel agent, research the agency. If you're doing it yourself, just research the possible trips and the different discounts and opportunities that they offer just to find the best deal. Either way you go. So, with all that said, I hope this kind of gave you a better view of what travel agents versus do-it-yourself is. Again, I didn't want to go through this whole thing and make it a tutorial. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. This is more or less just things for you to know. So I hope you got a little bit out of it. If you have more questions, I'll be happy to answer them privately. Just send me a message. If you need a quote request, you want to go to Walt Disney World. Who doesn't want to go to Walt Disney World all the time? Shoot me a message. I can start that process with you. And again, if it's something I'm not 100% familiar with, say you want to go with Disneyland or Orlani, it's not a problem. I can scoot you on over to my mentor. They can get you taken care of. But I'm here as a resource, either as a travel agent or as the host of Mondays with Mickey. So thank you for watching. Next week, I'm going to do a review on All-Star movies. Now, I haven't been to All-Star movies in a couple years. So this will be a slightly out-of-date review. But we're going to go ahead and do a quick hotel review. Talk about the amenities they offer, the rooms, the pools, and stuff, and things of that nature. The All-Star resorts are all pretty consistent. They're kind of on the same level no matter what. I've been to All-Star a few times, a couple different All-Stars, and they're very similar, even over the course of years. They really don't change that much. They're a great value, and like I said, next week I'll really get into the meat and potatoes on that one, and we'll talk about All-Star movies. My question of the week, because I forgot to do it last week, and I apologize for those who love the idea of doing a question of the week. My question of the week is this: who is your favorite Disney princess and why? I know that makes you kind of go, well, I'm a guy. I don't necessarily like a princess. You can like princesses. I'm a guy. I like girls. It's all good. Don't feel bad. You're a guy. You're watching the show. I'm not judging you. It's all good. So, like I said, there's your question. Who's your favorite Disney princess? For me, even though she's technically not a princess, I would say Mulan. I like the strong character. I like the fact that, she does her own thing regardless of what people said. She found who she truly was. It's a movie I relate to. I really enjoy it. So, personally, Mulan is my favorite. So, who's your favorite? Tell me who and why. And next week we'll come up with another question. And with that said, I'm going to leave you, as I'm going to leave you every week. Walt said it best. Let's never lose sight of one thing. This was all started by a mouse. Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys next week.